In a small Scottish town where life moved slowly and ambitions often stayed unspoken, Susan Boyle began her journey. Born in 1961 in Blackburn, West Lothian, she was the youngest of 10 children. Her early years were shaped by challenges she didn't fully understand at the time. Learning felt harder, social situations were confusing, and school became a place of quiet struggle rather than discovery. Other children noticed her differences quickly, and instead of kindness, she was often met with teasing and exclusion. Yet even in those early days, there was something undeniable about her, an inner world that didn't match how others saw her. While her surroundings were modest and expectations were low, something within her was already forming, waiting patiently for a moment the world had not yet imagined. The comfort of music and a mother's belief. Amid the difficulties of childhood, music became Susan's refuge. Singing wasn't just something she did, it was where she felt most herself. In church halls, at home, and in quiet moments alone, her voice carried a clarity that her daily life often lacked. It gave her confidence without requiring explanation. Alongside music, her mother Bridget played a crucial role. She believed deeply in Susan's talent and encouraged her to perform, even when opportunities were small and audiences were indifferent. That steady belief mattered more than applause. It created a foundation Susan could return to when rejection came, and it came often. Local competitions and modest attempts at recognition rarely led anywhere significant. Still, the combination of music and her mother's encouragement kept a fragile but persistent hope alive. Years of invisibility and quiet perseverance. As Susan moved through adulthood, her life settled into a pattern that many would describe as ordinary. She remained in Blackburn, caring for her family, especially her mother after her father passed away. Attempts to break into the music world continued, but were met with silence more than rejection. She recorded a demo, entered competitions, and pursued opportunities that never quite opened. The industry had expectations she didn't meet. Age, appearance, and personality all worked against her. Over time, those closed doors became familiar. Yet she never fully gave up. Her life may have seemed small from the outside, but it was filled with quiet resilience. By the time her mother passed away in 2007, Susan was living alone, carrying both grief and a promise to keep trying, even when no one was watching. The decision that changed everything. In 2009, Susan made a decision that would transform her life. She applied for Britain's Got Talent, unsure but determined to honor the promise she had made to her mother. Walking into the audition in Glasgow, she stood out, not because she fit expectations, but because she didn't. The room was filled with younger, more polished performers, while she carried a simple dream and an unpolished confidence. When she mentioned wanting to be as successful as Elaine Page, the reaction was skeptical, even amused. It was the kind of moment she had experienced many times before, being underestimated before she even began. But this time, something different was about to happen. 30 seconds that silenced a room. When Susan began to sing, "I Dreamed a Dream," everything shifted. The laughter stopped, replaced by something far more powerful: attention. Her voice didn't just impress, it challenged assumptions. Within moments, the audience realized they had misjudged her completely. The judges leaned forward, expressions changing from doubt to astonishment. It wasn't only about vocal ability, it was about truth breaking through expectation. That performance quickly spread across the internet, reaching millions within days. People weren't just watching a singer, they were witnessing a moment of transformation, where perception collided with reality. In less than a minute, Susan went from being overlooked to unforgettable, proving how quickly the world can change when it finally listens. sudden fame, and overwhelming pressure. Fame arrived almost overnight, and with it came a level of attention Susan had never experienced. Interviews, media appearances, and global recognition flooded into her life. For someone who had spent decades in quiet routines, the sudden shift was overwhelming. The media celebrated her but also scrutinized her, often focusing on moments of vulnerability rather than strength. The pressure to meet expectations, both personal and public, grew intense. While the world saw a success story unfolding, Susan was navigating unfamiliar territory without preparation. It became clear that talent alone was not enough to handle the demands of sudden fame. The experience revealed both the excitement and the cost of being seen after a lifetime of invisibility. Understanding herself for the first time. During this intense period, Susan received a diagnosis that helped explain much of her life: Asperger's syndrome, part of the autism spectrum. For years, her differences had been misunderstood, labeled in ways that diminished rather than clarified. The diagnosis brought relief, offering a framework for understanding her experiences. It didn't change who she was, but it gave her language and perspective. With that understanding came a sense of acceptance, not just from others, but from herself. It also highlighted how many years she had lived without the support or awareness that could have made things easier. Still, she moved forward with quiet strength, using this new understanding to navigate a world that had suddenly become much larger. Success that defied expectations. Susan's debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, became a massive success, breaking records and topping charts internationally. It proved that her moment wasn't fleeting. It was the beginning of something lasting. She followed it with more albums and performances, building a career that extended far beyond that first audition. What made her success unique was its authenticity. She didn't conform to industry expectations. She remained herself. Her voice carried emotion and sincerity, rather than technical showmanship, connecting deeply with audiences. People responded not just to her music, but to what she represented. A reminder that talent can exist outside conventional boundaries. Her career became a quiet statement against the idea that success has a single, fixed path. The realities behind the spotlight. Despite her achievements, Susan's life wasn't without challenges. Touring, media attention, and constant travel brought physical and emotional strain. She managed health conditions, including type 2 diabetes, while maintaining her career. Beyond that, there was a deeper, quieter reality: loneliness. Fame brought recognition, but not always meaningful connection. She spoke openly about wanting companionship and the difficulty of finding genuine relationships in a world that often saw her as a symbol rather than a person. Still, she found comfort in familiar routines, her faith, and her home in Blackburn. Unlike many who chase a different life after success, Susan chose stability over change, valuing what felt real over what appeared impressive. A legacy of authenticity and quiet courage. Today, Susan Boyle continues to live in the same town where her story began. Her life is a blend of extraordinary achievement and grounded simplicity. What makes her journey remarkable isn't just the viral moment or the record-breaking success. It's the consistency of who she has remained throughout it all. She didn't reinvent herself to fit the world. She allowed the world to adjust to her. Her story challenges assumptions about talent, timing, and worth. It reminds us that being overlooked doesn't mean being without value, and that recognition can come at any stage of life. More than anything, her legacy is one of authenticity. A quiet but powerful reminder that sometimes simply being true to yourself is the most extraordinary thing of all.